Ismail Haniyeh, one of the most senior Hamas leaders, was assassinated in Iran. This was confirmed by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and also by the terror group Hamas early Wednesday morning. This deals a severe blow to the Palestinian terror group and threatens to engulf the region in further conflict. Hamas accused Israel of killing Haniyeh, who led the group's political operations while in exile from Qatar. Hamas made the statement on its official Telegram account. Haniyeh was in Tehran to attend the inauguration of the newly elected president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian. Haniyeh was a key figure in Hamas's stalled ceasefire negotiations with Israel. His assassination makes the prospects for a deal even more unclear. If Iran chooses to retaliate, this will escalate the conflict in ways that either side may not be able to control. If cooler heads prevail, this might just be the opening that Israel needs to move towards a ceasefire and eventually put an end to this war. Israel's military has not officially commented or taken responsibility, simply saying it does not respond to reports in the foreign news media. In recent years, it has carried out a number of high-profile assassinations in Iran, rattling the country's leaders and prompting a security overhaul. As part of that overhaul, there was the ouster of a top security official in Iran's top echelons of its security apparatus. But it was not just the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. On Tuesday, the Israeli military said it had carried out a separate strike on a Hezbollah commander in the southern suburbs of Beirut. The target of that strike, Fuad Shukr, was a senior Hezbollah official who serves as a close advisor to Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. The targeting of these two senior leaders of two Iran-backed groups, and that too within a matter of hours, could be seen as an escalation in the region. And if it were to escalate, it could lead to a wider regional war, which no party wants. Already, the Middle East has been reeling from the 9 months of high tensions since Israel began waging its war against Hamas, after Hamas led terror strikes in Israel, which killed over 1,000 Israelis. It happened on the 7th of October last year. Iran, in response to Haniyeh's assassination, held an emergency meeting of its Supreme National Security Council at the residence of its Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The commander-in-chief of the Al-Quds forces, who oversees the terror network of militias, was also part of this meeting. It is not immediately clear how Iran will respond or whether it will respond at all. Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, takes office facing a major security breach of failing to protect an ally. After all, Haniyeh was a state guest of Iran there in Tehran just to attend the swearing-in of the new president. It also raises questions about the safety of Iran's top leaders who were in very close contact with Ismail Haniyeh even 24 hours before he was assassinated. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had met with Haniyeh on Tuesday. Ismail Haniyeh became the leader of Hamas in Gaza in 2006. He was forced to go to exile to Qatar in 2017, where he was named the group's top political leader. Israel. In those attacks, more than 1,000 Israelis died and over 240 were taken hostage. In April of this year, 3 of Ismail Haniyeh's sons were killed in an Israeli strike near Gaza City. Israel, in fact, on record, publicly identified the 3 adult sons as Amir, Muhammad, and Hazem Haniyeh and said that all 3 were Hamas operatives. The last picture of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran showed him visiting a theme park called the Axis of Resistance. This is according to reports in the Iranian media. He was in that picture seen with the leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Ziad al-Nakaleh, and a group of men who were posing with a model of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the background. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had met with Haniyeh just on Tuesday. A security breach at this high level in Iran also raises questions about the safety of Iran's top leaders who were in close contact with Haniyeh just hours before his assassination. All right, joining us now live is Ivan Watson. He's CNN international correspondent. He's joining us live from Beirut. I want to first ask you, Ivan, thank you very much for joining us, about this assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, the capital of Iran, where he was there to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the new Iranian president. Although Israel has not officially claimed responsibility for it, and the United States has said that they were not officially involved in this, what may be the likely fallout of this assassination on the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas?
I think what we're seeing so far, Zaka, are expressions of condemnation and frankly, I think, shock at this killing taking place in the heart of the Iranian capital. Certainly, the Iranian hosts of Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas political leader, they have immediately started calling for revenge. And that has gone from the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who said, quote, "You killed our dear guest in our house and now have paved the way for your harsh punishment," to the Iranian mission to the United Nations in New York that tweeted, quote, "The response to an assassination will indeed be special operations, harder and intended to instill deep regret in the perpetrator." Now, we've also heard condemnations coming from other governments in the region. The Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the governments of Jordan and Egypt, which have diplomatic relations with Israel, have called this a terrible act, and that's been echoed by the governments of China and Russia as well. The U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, he did, in an interview in Southeast Asia, say that the U.S. was unaware and uninvolved in what presumably was an Israeli assassination of the Hamas leader. But I think what's really interesting is to hear the other mediators who have been sitting day after day for now approaching 9-10 months, trying to hammer out a ceasefire deal that Washington has claimed to have been supporting. The Qatari prime minister, who's been a key mediator here, he came out with a statement basically saying that political assassinations and continued targeting of civilians in Gaza while talks continue lead us to ask, how can mediation succeed when one party assassinates the negotiator on the other side? Israel has been participating in these ceasefire talks. The leader of Hamas has now been murdered, which really leads to questions about how committed Israel was to that in the first place. And it also makes the calls coming from the U.S. government saying that there still needs to be a ceasefire seem to ring very hollow right now. All in all, Zaka, I would say there's an incredible amount of tension in the region, and add to the fact that hours before the assassination in Tehran, there was also an assassination here in Beirut of a senior Hezbollah official.
I do want to ask you, Ivan, so there's been the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, even though the Israeli side has not officially taken responsibility for it. There's also the assassination of Fuad Shukr that you were referring to a moment ago. All of this has happened in the space of less than 24 hours. So is there a containment strategy here from Israel, from the United States, or is this inevitably going to spill onto a wider multi-front war?
Those are the real concerns, and there have been concerns of escalation into a regional conflict for months, ever since that initial October 7 Hamas attack that kind of launched this latest war in Gaza. I think that the U.S. government, in the run-up to Tuesday night's strike here in Beirut, and then the apparent Israeli airstrike in Tehran, we had senior U.S. officials that were saying that Israel had the right to retaliate, but that this did not necessarily need to lead to an escalation of the conflict. And we heard senior Lebanese officials who were perhaps placing some hope that some red lines might not be crossed. I think that many would see a strike on the southern suburbs of Beirut as crossing a line. So now the question is, how will Hezbollah retaliate? Also, how will Iran, which has vowed vengeance now in the hours since Ismail Haniyeh's assassination, how will it retaliate? And then there are their proxies. For instance, the Houthis in Yemen, who have proven not only that they can disrupt shipping through the Red Sea, but that they can also strike into Tel Aviv with one of their long-range projectiles, within the last month. These are all potential enemies of Israel that if its enemies choose to escalate, it could be fighting a war on all of these fronts. And let's not forget, there is also the occupied West Bank, which has seen years of unrest and deadly incidents, but at this stage is not in full-fledged conflict. The Palestinian Authority president has also condemned the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. Just days ago, the different Palestinian factions had brokered a kind of an agreement to put aside their differences and work in unity. That was mediated by China, which has added its voice to the chorus of condemnations and denunciations of these two assassinations that took place really within hours of each other here in Beirut and in Tehran.
All right, Ivan Watson, we'll leave it at that. We'll see what kind of fallout this has on those rather precarious and stalled ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas, of course, brokered by the United States, Egypt and Qatar, whether or not this is the final nail in that coffin, or whether if Iran chooses to respond on a smaller scale or chooses not to respond at all, would that give an opening, a window, if you will, for renegotiating or restarting those negotiations. That's Ivan Watson for us, senior CNN international correspondent from Beirut. That's a wrap of Brass Tacks, this Wednesday edition. From me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team. If you've been tuned in, thank you very much for your time. We were coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. We'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night.